Alright, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for After the Rain, Episode 3. Okay, we had a bit of a fun cliffhanger last episode.
Yes, we had a confession. It was definitely a confession.
And I think
Some
Mr.
silence
Kondo
afterwards,
is smart enough to understand that it was a confession.
Let's see. Huffing my shirt, plus saying, well, when I ask, why do you work at this place when you live so far away? I like you, Mr. Hondo. Kondo, yes.
Kondo,
Yeah.
yes,
But,
yes.
And I think that adds up to something.
Yeah. I think he's in the know a little bit now.
Yeah.
If he's not convinced, what it is that he's in doubt. He's in
denial.
Denial. Thank you. That's even better. Yes.
Yeah.
He's in denial in that. Well, I mean, yeah, sure, she might like me, but it's just kind of it's not really a big thing.
Exactly.
It's just kind of like, yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Or he might think of it and get a little bit of an ego thing from it, like, oh, I must be just kind of good looking. I guess, yeah, that's nice.
Right.
But he's not taking it seriously,
Okay.
Yeah.
If the thing of, oh, I must be pretty good looking, I don't think you can have that and the knowledge of she was burying her face in your work shirt.
That's the part
and have it be like, no, this is pretty extreme right here. So this will be interesting. I am very excited to see how the two of them handle this, because I don't think they'll just avoid the topic and pretend it didn't happen. We don't have time for that. But
I want the mature handling of this being through open and honest communication.
Right.
Which I know doesn't work 100% of the time for dramas, but if you want the drama to be centered around the relationship when it's already in the midst of it, then you can have some open and honest communication,
and it'll be
because you need to move it to the next, what does this look like stage, right?
And with a dynamic like this, where it's like, hey, I'm well over twice her age, and I'm her boss.
Yeah.
Well, I would hope they explore that dynamic and how that changes things in the story. So, when they address that,
because for one, the whole nepotism problem is very strong. So just that alone provides some serious issues as well for probably the store's policy or what have you.
Right.
But then there's the social, other issues as well. So I'm very curious, because I like both of the characters.
They're great.
Yeah. But the thing is, I could see myself starting to find out which parts of which character specifically I don't like when it comes to the actual communication and drama surrounding the actual relationship, if there is end up being one. So, guys, this is going to be fun. So without further ado, let's get into it.
Right.
Wait.
Because that's how she remembers it. Which, of course, is probably frustrating.
Wait. No. Are you telling me that we time skipped?
Well, I get that, because it's not something that they would bring up right away. Because he did very much deflect to something else.
They're gonna do in media res. They're gonna go and retroactively talk about like analyze the scene.
Oh yeah, well, of course they're gonna do that.
No, but I mean immediately in this scene from a future one, it's like, oh, and back then when you said this, I'm really worried. In media res is really weird and hard to handle. I don't think they're actually gonna go and be like 12 hours earlier, but
no, but because okay, something like that happening was clearly very awkward for Kondo-san, right?
It was awkward for both of them.
It was for both of them, and he did a secret technique time, run away, right? Understandable, because
but they didn't discuss what happened when he came back.
Well, I'm guessing by the fact that they're doing this, basically nothing. It was probably like sterile silence the entire time. Like, That was great. She suddenly just thinks better of it, and she's like, nope.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Show us how the injury happened.
She misses it.
Right.
Right. There you go. She's just like...
I mean, I confessed to my 45-year-old boss, and it's kind of awkward over there right now.
Yeah. Oh, the sound! Ow, that hurt.
Yeah.
Yep. Makes sense, yep. I like the whole idea of motion and how so much of this is showing that her life essentially stopped. Yep. At least in her mind, that so much of it was in motion, constantly moving, and now everyone else is moving on. She stopped kind of looking at everything else moving, and then it was just at this pivotal moment that someone happened to be there. And what I think is great about that is that makes it... Oh, yeah, the tear. Yeah, that was...
Makes it mean way more.
Well, it makes it mean way more, but it means that it didn't matter to her how old he was or his station or his status or anything.
Right.
It was just that he was someone who was there and met her at her place where the time had, her life had kind of stopped, it seemed.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh. She's coming over.
Yep.
どうしたの足もういいのとにかく中入れなよびしょ濡れじゃないのほら早く
Did he not actually clue in?
What? What? Okay.
Whoa.
Dang. Wow. The cigarette just kind of goes... Oof.
Are we going to show how he is reacting to all that? Okay.
Yep. She's in his mind's eye now, so...
いわばどうにもならないことをどうにかしようとして取り留めもない考えをたどりながらさっきから朱雀王子に降る雨の音を聞いていたのである今日から立花さん復帰かどんな顔して接する
Yeah.
お疲れ様です
お疲
れあれ立花さん
Just hi there.
Don't overdo it, okay?
Yeah.
What do you
mean? Was that a dream?
あまりに何事もなかったかのようで拍子抜けしたぞ。そうか。もしかしてこれドッキリなんじゃないのか?
She was sniffing your shirt, dude.
Gotcha.
Although this does a lot to showcase his self-esteem.
Yeah. Oh. Yada yada.
He's completely mishearing what she's saying. Oh. Oh my gosh.
All you young people should go. Oh. Why would you do that?
Oh, and
too bad, Yoshida.
Oh my god.
Good.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Okay, let's go. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Why?
45だよ。周りがどう思うか。周りの人がどう思うかなんて関係ないです。
Oh.
いや。援助交際かと思う。援助交際なんかじゃない。
Yep.
私、店長。
He's like, oh. That's right. Yeah.
So,
God, he's so awkward.
I know.
Oh my gosh. No. Yeah, see, he was like, I need to smoke.
Yeah.
No, I can't do that here. Wow. Oh.
自分のことを好きだという17歳の女の子。セミの抜け殻だ。やっぱり考え直した方がいいよ。45歳、夢も希望も何もない。僕は空っぽの中年だ。
Wow.
あれ？なんでその顔？僕って言った。店長、いつも俺って言うのに僕って言った。
His face. He's getting frustrated.
もし俺とデートでもしてごらんよ。きっと気持ち悪いよ。してくれるんですか
？Wait.
デートして。
Ah!
Oh boy.
いや、今のはそう。自分に。
Yes, they are. They definitely are.
That was a great line. Great observation. Wow.
Wow.
I did say that.
Wow.
I gotta say, like, the amount of nothing that was going on early in the episode was actually starting to get to me, and then they just went and rocket into space. Here we go.
Say what you will about Tachibana, she is not timid. Like,
she's not timid, and yet I will say
she's determined.
I will say that the parts that I'm starting to like more about this show is not her character. It's the interactions being handled in a much more unique and mature way, where there's something almost sad about it. And I did say this earlier, that she does have a little bit of the I have everything going for me 17-year-old girl outside of my injury.
Oh, gotcha.
And this guy is kind of the clueless guy, but there's a sweetness to the way that he's interacting and the way that she's responding to his interactions, like that part there, that covers all that other stuff and makes it really wholesome and wonderful.
Yep.
Oh, cool.
All right.
What?
So
how could they end that on such a sweet, like?
That was a great line. My words are affecting someone's heart. Yeah.
When was the last time that happened?
Yep.
God, that's actually something that's really actually okay. I think there's something beautifully sad actually about this story.
Yeah.
Now I can see the wholesomeness because they're probably going to actually develop the relationship
in a very good, wholesome way,
and also a very mature way where they'll have to constantly be open and honest about their communication regarding this whole thing, because there are a lot of weird factors at play that most relationships don't have to deal with.
Right.
But what's sad about it is that I think the point is not whether or not the relationship will last, or whether it will work out, or whether in a few years they'll be married with kids or something, or, whatever. No, I think the thing that's sad about this is that it is getting at the very nature of what, specifically for the guy here, what it means to feel love again. What it means to go from being, I have no hopes and dreams. I'm
just
nothing.
Sort of going through life, raising my son, and
and the person who has given up in this area of their life, having, in some ways, being gifted the opportunity of something wonderful, but because it's in the form of something that's not simple. It's in the form of something that's not easy.
It's complicated.
It's complicated. It basically says, "Oh, this is an opportunity for you, Mr. Kondo.
Yeah.
But you're going to have to work at this." And the thing that's sad, I think, about that is that most people don't get this kind of opportunity. And take all the age difference, all the role things out of it, but just the thing of someone coming to you, and so persistently and so dedicatedly being head over heels in love with you. That's something that almost no one experiences.
Right.
Because on the one hand, most people can't handle being brushed off just once or twice even. So the fact that she knows what she wants, essentially. I'd say that says a lot about her character. But it says even more when, like, if anything, she's just gaining in intensity. Like, this is actually getting stronger for her just by these little things that he's responding with, even though they're relatively neutral. But I don't know. At the end of this episode, it seems like it's leaning more towards the positive. Actually,
It's
maybe he's not consciously aware of it, but he wants this to work out.
Exactly, because when it's when all you have is excuses, and even then the excuses are falling apart.
Yeah.
Well. I mean, and. Yeah,
it just made me think of something here. This would be something amazing and stuff. Is he at some point is probably gonna fire her. So that they can have an actual relationship and
without
stuff.
having complications in that area.
And you know what would be really sweet is to have him basically give the opportunity to be like, and for a different, you know, side of things and stuff. I would like to, you know, introduce you to my son.
Like officially,
and I want that scene to happen because there's
that's a whole other
that's way down the line. But
that's going to be complicated too.
Well, what I'm glad that they did already is shown that the son responded positively to her.
Yep.
I don't think he's young enough or old enough to be either immune to the transition or, I'd say, completely against the transition. But what gives me some kind of hope and kind of positivity this year is that he has constantly been respectful of her. I would say
we're talking about Kondo now.
Kondo being respectful towards Tachibana, towards her. When there were moments when she was being I would say being vulnerable. That's a good way to look at it. But because they've now talked about this, all bets are off, in my opinion, as to like where they want to end this.
Right. Because
other than that, I'm just looking forward to the exploration actually being handled in a pace where we actually explore the relationship and the love and the why do I need a reason to like someone? I think that's the entire show right there.
Yep. And oh boy, they're gonna be going on a date. So
that was kind of the thing that the last bit was. It was the unintentional date.
Right. But now
and then they just time skipped off of it, and I'm like, okay, fine.
Hey,
yeah. I wanted to see that, and now it's like, oh no, let's just reset that.
But now it's on very, very clear grounds.
Right.
Yeah.
I do want to see her have agency in the conversation, though. One of the things that I feel like would be cool to see from Tachibana is, remember when she's about going to ask the girls a question and stuff, and suddenly they're all like, oh, you never ask us anything. And she's like, and no, I think you know, something else of it. Once she had basically given her statement of, I like you, you know, how do you feel about me? Their little back and forth thing in the break room was hilarious.
And then the interruption.
And then Yui showing up and being like, I don't even like karaoke.
And Yoshi's always had to being like, oh, come on.
Depressed. Here's the thing. Like, when they interact, she has all of this just overwhelming urge to communicate with him that she feels, you know, this way about him.
Yeah.
But outside of the kind of the date response thing, I would love to see, since he is kind of a type B person, he kind of you know, hangs back and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They can subvert the roles even more by having some really cool moments of her actually kind of directing the flow of conversation for them to get to know each other, rather than him kind of awkwardly being like, so why, like, instead of him asking questions of why do you like me, her asking questions that break through the barriers and just go, let's treat this like this would be any other relationship and stuff.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of cool things I think that can come of that, because their verbiage will probably start off a little filtered, but then once they break through those filters and they start just communicating honestly and vulnerably and like real people to each other, you know, just peers essentially, there's I think a lot of cool things that they could do for both of their characters, but I think almost especially Kondo, because I sense that given that he's older, there's a bit of life experience in there that could lend to some interesting revelations as to why he is the way he is. Whereas, unfortunately, I don't sense as much of that depth from Tachibana. One, because she's younger, but also because her character has not been given a lot of specific kind of contradictions or flaws.
The conflict that she's had thus far has either been just getting Kondo to clue in and acknowledge that she likes him, and then the injury with the track running and all that stuff.
Right.
And they could do more with that, but I don't want them to do much more.
Much more.
Because that is...
We have 13 episodes.
Exactly. That is a subplot. That is very much a subplot.
Yeah.
And the thing is, one of the reasons why I enjoyed the second half of this episode so much was because it was all about the stuff that I had really been looking forward to, because the strong setup in the beginning that she likes him a lot, right? It's like, okay, cool. That's very clear, that's very straightforward.
Yep.
You know. So then the immediate question is, well, how does he respond because of all the taboo nature of their relationship, right? Mm-hmm. Because it's not taboo for her to like him. No. Not really. It's taboo for him to like her, though. So I feel like there was a lot more ammunition that they could basically use in his response, and I love how it was basically her being like, okay, I've 3 times now, I've made it quite clear, so what are you gonna do? And then it's him sort of like processing it and being like, I don't, but this is, but yeah, I mean, come on, if you went on like go on a date with me, you'll think it's boring and awful, and
so there's an easy flow that we can kind of go through with this. Is he hears the confession, goes, haha, that's cute. And she goes, no, I'm convincing you. I really do like you, and I need you to respond in some way because this is killing me. And he goes, oh, you're serious? Oh, okay. I don't have an answer for you. Wait, no, I do. Well, okay, let's talk about this. Let me just show you why this is a bad idea for you. So he's now been convinced by her that she likes him. Now he's trying to convince her that she shouldn't like him. And when they go on this whole thing and he's unable to convince her, he's going to then have to look at his surroundings and realize, wait, like,
now I have to actually answer it myself of what am I going to do, as opposed to trying to get the other person to do something different. Because everything that he did really does show a lot about who he is as a person. The fact that he was so not hesitant, that's not the right word, but in denial, about everything. And granted, because of the position, the relationship between the two of them, of course, right?
Totally.
But the idea of him being like, why do you even like me? Like all of that stuff, that's really good, because that shows that, because I mean, we know he was divorced, right? And it's starting to see like, okay, yeah, that's very much a thing that happened. It's not just an excuse for him to have a son and but him to be single.
Well, yes, and he also goes into great detail about him being a 45-year-old man with no hopes and dreams, being what did he say? A middle-aged boy.
An empty middle-aged boy. An
empty middle-aged boy. He's basically looking at this, and if you think about relationships in terms of an exchanging of value, it's a very kind of, I would say, crude way to look at it. Is not much. There's not much, nuance.
There's an exchange that happens.
Yes, and he's basically saying, I have no value to give. Why should I be in a relationship with someone who has value to give, whereas I have none? I deserve an equal exchange of value, and yours is too much.
And you deserve an equal exchange of value.
Right,
too.
exactly.
Yeah.
And that is a false kind of that is a false humility. That is a form of shame. That is a form of and actually that's a very interesting point. I bring up the whole concept of shame here. There is a lot of ways in which shame can become a huge part of the whole storyline there.
Oh yeah.
And that he could be, and this is something I hope comes up, because in terms of a conflict thing, this would be very good to show Tachibana's character in a really cool way. It would be a good way to show a flaw on Kondo's side, in that he does try to shame her out of the whole thing. Now, what could be cool is that it works. I want to see it work maybe just for a little bit. But what she needs to realize is that, like, the whole thing of having a reason to like someone is such a weird concept. One of the things that I remember when I was a lot younger was I felt like whenever I communicated my feelings to someone, I needed to convince them that my reasons were not just valid, but were good reasons.
Gotcha. Okay.
And that's something that is, I think it's evident your reasons based on your actions and your choices. So you don't need to spend energy doing any of that. It then just becomes a simple, invitation for them to respond.
Okay.
You then go, this is how I feel. How do you feel? There's nothing. Right. There's not all this complicated stuff to add on to it. And if that's kind of the reoccurring message of the show, is that Kondo, for instance, represents kind of the person who's maybe a little bit more sensible and maybe has a little bit more of the, just life experience to go along with this, and goes,
sure,
you don't know if this is actually a good idea, Tachibana. You're young. You need to think about this a little bit more. And he's, in some ways, potentially missing the opportunity as he keeps giving these little micro rejections back at her. And for her, it'll be a thing of, is this real enough? Is this powerful enough that she continually chooses to ignore the micro rejections and keep going for this here? Because if she does, I don't know how they would do the story. Like, there's so many cool things that I wish romance storylines would do after the confession, like after,
and the fact that they have that be at the very
after
beginning,
the relationship, after the relationship's begun, essentially, or after the first daisuki desu, or whatever, or the kiss, or the whatever, the promise, or what have you. In this case, they're doing all that in the beginning, and since the story is so short, I'm at a loss here.
They
really
have
cool.
to, but they're pulling it off and making it work really well, because one, you got to have a lot of respect for somebody that can be so sure of themselves while they're in love with someone that they will be that frank and open about it, even when the other person is being difficult.
For sure.
But then, we got 9-10 episodes left.
Yeah.
There's a lot of ground that they can cover. And I feel like if there were to be like a main conflict point that they sort of like, I don't know, help each other with in the course of the show that is not like specifically regarding their relationship,
right?
It would be Kondo and his divorce, right? And potentially how that also carries over to his son,
for sure.
And then the area where I feel like it's not quite as good is that I feel like with Tachibana it's going to be her injury and track running, which they could do that and have it still work really well. And maybe there's something to that, in that her problems are a lot simpler right now because she is young. But what?
I just figured out a way that they can bridge the running with the whole relationship side of things.
What?
Is that the injury is something that's never going to go away fully.
Sure. There we go.
That's something that when she's in the relationship with Kondo, the whole dynamic of them being an age different, there being an age gap,
that's not going to go away. She's not going to catch up to him as the relationship goes on.
No, there's not going to be anything that will bridge that gap entirely to the point where it means nothing. It will always be a reality. It will be a difficulty. I mean,
he is 28 years older than
we haven't even talked about the fact that if they do get into a relationship and stuff, there's going to be that one point where maybe the divorced wife shows up and ends up seeing them together.
That would... Oh, man.
Because they probably spent more time together than she could even be alive. Like, there's a very real possibility of that. Like, at the very least, it's around half her age because of the son, I would say. Not necessarily, because the son could have left, whatever. But they said, what was it? He went through a divorce a couple years ago. I think they said
something like that. I don't know if they said when.
I think they said it was around 2 years ago or something. But there's all kinds of things. The coworkers bit, all of that is good. One of the things though that they can, I would say, have a bridge with this though, is that the whole track team supports those that are, going after these difficult challenges. And if she's not going to get the support from her friends, or maybe even not even her coworkers, like at all, really, what could be cool is that her track team struggles to understand why she's she's going with this, but they still support her anyway. And they'll be the ones who will be her biggest cheerleaders, especially her main friend, the track captain.
Right, and that's maybe where they can do the conflict, because right now Tachibana seems to know what she wants almost too much for a 17-year-old, or maybe it's only as young people can, because their lives are a lot simpler then. But then we could basically see that this is more than just a being serious around him, but like rubber meets the road, all the stuff that comes with it, not just his adorable son and all that stuff, because you get along with him just fine.
Yeah.
But things like the ex-wife and and how people at school maybe treat her, because if anyone finds out, the news will spread like wildfire, because rumors in high school.
Rumors in general.
One
of the things that could be really cool here is you think about all these other people that just unequivocally like Tachibana. What they could be setting up also is the whole shame aspect, where they all flip on a dime just because suddenly she likes an older guy. And they're setting up the absurd nature of how society overreacts to something that they don't fully understand.
Sure.
Because one of the things that was actually bugging me about this whole story so far is just everyone likes Tachibana. Like, and I don't get it. Tachibana is not like a super likable character. She's just kind of neutral. Like she's got some super athletic qualities, and she's at the very least, I would say, a more pleasant person than average. But there isn't anything about her that would make me go, oh, we all love Tachibana. You know, it's something where I think she's surrounded by people that are very loving and very caring, and she's surrounded by amazing people. But if they all become hypocrites, essentially, and drop their appreciation of Tachibana because, taboo potential thing, then that shows, that shows their shallowness, that shows their essentially character flaws.
Right.
And there's some cool ways to see how she would respond to that, because I don't know if she would be kind of a Shirase in kind of a place for the universe and just be like, screw you all. Or if she would collapse in on herself more like kind of a Kimari and just be like, all these people kind of just saying these things, and she would let the shame get to her. Or if it would be kind of a mix of the two, and it would pull the two of them closer together.
Possibly.
That's what I think will happen.
One of the things, the character dynamics that they given the fact they haven't introduced them by episode 3, I get the feeling they're not going to.
Okay.
But it is a dynamic that, with this type of taboo situation, I would be very interested in seeing, is Tachibana's parents.
Yes.
How do they respond to the fact that their 17-year-old daughter has the hots for a 45-year-old that is her boss?
Yeah.
You know, because especially since the confession has already happened and they're seemingly going to start dating and whatnot, or at least seeing what happens, that's the kind of thing that the parents would probably have some strong feelings about.
I think that they've also set up a little bit that the father is out of the picture for Tachibana.
Yeah.
Again, it was the mother who was happy about the jelly stuff.
Yeah.
Didn't mention that my parents were happy about the jelly stuff. It was my mom wanted me to say thank you. I mean, I get that the mom is maybe the more social of the parents, maybe, and she wants that to happen and stuff. But what? Don't even.
So, this would be. I don't know if it would end up being good, but it could be hilariously awkward.
No.
No. Okay, no. Well,
are you talking about the mom?
If the mom ended up being like, "Oh, he's kind of cute," and then it's like, "Mom, this is my boyfriend," and she's like,
"Yeah, please no." I would rather have the parents not know, because I would rather it actually be a secret relationship. And if they want to actually have it go through where the relationship is just doomed to fail, and that's the point, is that this is a part of Tachibana growing up, and she needs to let go of him by the end of the season.
That would suck.
And it's something where they had some real, genuine love, and nothing wrong happened or whatever. But the thing was, is that they ended up realizing that Tachibana was in this place in her life where she needed that, but you know that there will be maybe a point in the future where, you know,
they skip 10 years.
I don't know, maybe, but my thing is I want to see Tachibana have moments of contemplation where we actually get to see her multidimensional aspect with regards to how she's, I don't know, handling this.
Right, because so far she's been handling it surprisingly well, and also we don't actually get a lot of introspection around her that has that shows any inner conflict. Okay, yeah, and other than around the whole track thing. But
it's all visual. It's all visual. We don't.
Oh, sure. Like, yeah, they don't do a lot of internal monologuing.
Well, not necessarily like specifically the monologuing, just kind of some more obvious conflict.
Well, okay.
Like, I mean, just kind of interpreting what it means, though.
Sure, because they'll need to explore that and all that. But
because the track meet thing, we don't know if that was jealousy or if that was like just a feeling of missing out of the whole thing.
Right.
Or
yeah,
if it was
totally.
A whole bunch of other things, you know.
But it's very clearly a conflict point.
Oh, it's clearly a conflict
clearly,
point.
Unequivocally a conflict point.
But if that's a conflict point, that shows how she handles conflict. She walks away from it.
Right, exactly, which is another area where a way in which she can grow. But
wait. So that's a good point. That's what can be really good here, is that this is going to be her first conflict point where he's probably going to be actively discouraging her from the relationship, and she's not going to run away.
Right, but she certainly runs away with everyone else. Her friends, that when she asks to help her out with something, and then she's like, no, and
So that means if someone else knew about it,
yeah,
she would be stuck.
She would really have a
tough choice. Okay, cool. Then I'm looking forward to this. So guys, thank you so much for watching our reaction and discussion. If you want to see the next episode's reaction right now, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. You can get early access there. You can watch full-length reactions there, and all this comes with Discord access where you can chat with us about stories or just whatever. And if any of that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all next time.